Weekly News Dossier, 27, the 8th to the 3rd of September 2025. 1. Formula 1. The Dutch GP weekend, Zandvoort, 31:08, proved decisive in the title race. Oscar Piastri, McLaren, won the race after Lando Norris retired due to engine failure. As a result, Piastri extended his lead in the championship to 34 points over Norris. Max Verstappen finished second and Ayumu Hajar, the French RB talent, in third, securing his first podium. The race was also marked by retirements. Besides Norris, both Ferrari cars, Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton, now driving for the Italian team, collided and scored no points. This double retirement had not occurred for Ferrari since 2024 and reduced the team's lead over Mercedes in the Constructors' Championship from 24 to just 12 points. Race highlights: Piastri led from start to finish and set the fastest lap. Norris was in second place when his car began smoking and stopped on the final straight. Verstappen recovered from a difficult start and escaped a duel with Perez to secure second. In the midfield, Brazilian rookie Gabriel Bortolito, Sauber, stood out. He started 13th and finished around 15th, gaining valuable experience. Championship implications: with this victory, Piastri reached 7 wins in 15 races and leads with 309 points. Norris, though pushing to the limit, saw his chances significantly diminished. As Piastri explained, even a second place for Norris would still have left him with a considerable deficit. The big post-race question concerns Norris's and McLaren's reliability. The team had been leading the Constructors' Championship by a wide margin, but this setback gave Ferrari and Mercedes renewed confidence. The following weekend will see the Italian GP, Monza, 5/9, where Hamilton received a 5-place grid penalty for failing to slow under yellow flags. Controversies and trends: Hamilton's crash, his first DNF with Ferrari, and Leclerc's accident. He collided with Antonelli, who received a 10-second penalty, reignited doubts over Hamilton's adaptation to Ferrari and the car's fragility on a wet track. Internally, reports suggest tensions within Ferrari after the weekend, with both drivers blaming track conditions and battles with Mercedes. Off-track, Piastri continued to showcase an aggressive driving style. He achieved his first Grand Slam pole win, fastest lap, and leading every lap. In short, the week reinforced 2 key trends: the rise of Piastri, Norris as contenders, particularly if Norris avoids further setbacks, and Ferrari's inconsistency. 2. Brazilian football. In the domestic league, the main headline was Flamengo's 8-0 thrashing of Vitória, 25:08, at the Maracanã. Pedro scored a hat-trick in the historic win, the largest margin in the fixture, with further goals from Lucas Lima, 2, Arrascaeta, L. Araujo, and Borja. The defeat left Vitória in a dire situation, 17th place, 19 points, and led to the sacking of manager Fábio Carol. Flamengo took the lead of the Brasileirão, 46 points in 21 matches. Brasileirão. Besides Flamengo's emphatic win, other fixtures drew attention. Grêmio won and climbed the table. Atlético MG, 3rd place, were defeated by Cruzeiro, 2-0, goals from Fabrício Bruno and Caio Jorge in the Copa do Brasil quarterfinals, not in the league. The round also featured Palmeiras vs Cruzeiro and several close-score matches. At the end of August, Corinthians faced Flamengo in the opening of the 22nd round. In summary, the title race remains balanced at the top, with Flamengo leading and Atlético MG in second, separated by just a few points. Copa do Brasil quarterfinals. First leg, Minas and São Paulo clubs were in the spotlight. Cruzeiro beat Atlético MG away 2-0, Vila Nova MG, securing a strong advantage. Corinthians beat Atlético PR 1-0, Nilton's goal at Morumbi. Fluminense and Bahia drew 0-0 in Rio, while Vasco and Botafogo finished 1-1, goals from Jair and Arthur Cabral. These results keep the ties wide open for the return legs in September. Key figures, institutions. Flamengo's Pedro stood out with his hat-trick. Among coaches, the week was marked by sackings. Renato Paiva lost his job at Fortaleza after a poor run. Cuca left Atletico MG following defeats, the 16th managerial dismissal of the season, and Carroll was dismissed by Vitória after the 8-0 defeat. In total, the 2025 Brasileirão has already seen 17 managerial changes, reflecting growing pressure on coaches. Trends, controversies. The season highlights two phenomena: Flamengo's rise, following a squad overhaul, and managerial insecurity, high dismissal rate. VAR and refereeing remain in the spotlight, though few controversial calls emerged. Supporters of big clubs struggling near the bottom expressed discontent, e.g., protests after poor results. Moreover, the calendar had to be adjusted by the CBF due to the upcoming Copa America. In essence, Brazilian football at the end of August balanced Flamengo fans' euphoria with anxiety among club presidents and widespread instability in management. 3. European football. In Europe, two topics dominated the headlines: the new Champions League format and the start of the major domestic leagues. Champions League phase, the draw produced high-profile clashes for the new 36-team league system. Highlights include Real Madrid facing Manchester City, Liverpool, and Juventus. Barcelona drawn against Paris Saint-Germain and Chelsea. Bayern Munich also facing PSG and Chelsea. Atletico Madrid against Liverpool and Borussia Dortmund. Brazilian clubs qualified through the Americas, Flamengo and Palmeiras, though that does not apply here. This new, single league, system begins this season, with crossover fixtures instead of fixed groups. The confirmed entrants include PSG, Tottenham, Liverpool, Arsenal, Manchester City, Chelsea, Newcastle, Real, Atletico, Barcelona, Athletic, Villarreal, ESP, Bayern, Leverkusen, Dortmund, Eintracht, Napoli, Inter, Atalanta, Juventus, Inter, Porto, Sporting, Por, Ajax, Ned, Slavia Prague, CZE, and Bodo, Glimt, Nor. Additional playoffs are still pending. Brazilian sides Corinthians and Botafogo are set to enter in earlier rounds. Domestic leagues. In England, the spotlight was on Liverpool. The reigning champions maintained a perfect record, 3 wins from 3, 9 points, after beating Arsenal 1-0 with a Szoboszlai free kick. Arsenal, despite £260 million spent in the transfer market, collected just 1 point in 3 rounds, reigniting doubts about their efficiency. Manchester United beat Burnley 3-2, Bruno Fernandes scoring the decisive penalty. The big surprise was Tottenham's home defeat, 0-1 to Bournemouth. Chelsea topped the table after defeating Fulham 2-0, João Pedro and Enzo Fernandez on target. In Germany, Bayern Munich beat Borussia Dortmund 2-0, Lewandowski penalty, in the Bundesliga. In Spain, Real Madrid opened with a 3-0 win over Oviedo, 2 goals from Mbappé, 1 from Vinicius Jr., while Atletico Madrid stumbled with only 1 point from 2 matches, prompting Simeone to call for caution and reinforcements before the transfer window closed. Trends, controversies. A clear theme emerged: heavy spending does not always guarantee results, e.g., Arsenal's struggles. Across Europe, critics raised concerns over the new Champions League calendar, citing exhausting travel and fixture congestion. After the draw, debates also arose over early heavyweight clashes and the role of home advantage. Individual standouts included Lewandowski, Bayern, and Mbappé, Real Madrid. Meanwhile, the first rounds of the Europa League and Conference League were played, though without significant Brazilian presence. 4. International politics. The week was marked by armed conflicts and major diplomatic maneuvers. Russia-Ukraine war. The escalation continued. On 27/08, Russian drones heavily targeted Ukrainian energy infrastructure, substations and gas pipelines, across several regions, leaving hundreds of thousands without electricity and heating. Kyiv accused Moscow of deliberately sabotaging civilian infrastructure on the eve of winter, part of a systematic campaign since March. President Zelensky stated he would present President Biden with a peace plan but stressed Ukraine would not make concessions of territory or sovereignty. These events reignited debates in Europe over further arms deliveries to Ukraine. Israel and Gaza, the Middle East conflict intensified. Israel concentrated airstrikes on the streets and outskirts of Gaza City, aiming to dismantle Hamas command centers. Local agencies reported at least 30 deaths in recent strikes, including near humanitarian aid points. The planned ground offensive was delayed to allow evacuations, but Israel claimed to have killed Hamas military leader Abu Ubaidah in the operations. International NGOs condemned the civilian toll, including women and children, while Israel insisted it was targeting militants. In parallel, US and Egyptian diplomats pressed for a humanitarian ceasefire, though the next phase of the conflict appeared imminent. Russia-China alliance and US-China tensions. On 31/08, President Putin began a state visit to China, attending the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit. Before meeting Xi Jinping, Putin condemned Western sanctions and reaffirmed strategic alignment with Beijing. The move underlined growing Sino-Russian political and military cooperation against the US. At the same time, a senior Chinese diplomat criticized rampant protectionism in US agriculture. Since the 90-day trade truce, Beijing argues that tariffs and restrictions on foreign land purchases harm both sides. Overall, US-China relations remain oscillatory between technical dialogue and harsh rhetoric. Europe, internal crisis and protests. In the UK, xenophobic protests drew attention, with demonstrators waving English flags, such as the Wheelie Warriors anti-immigration group. Figures like Nigel Farage publicly supported the display of the St. George's flag, drawing criticism from local leaders. Prime Minister Starmer condemned symbols of hate. Meanwhile, the EU announced preparations for new Ukraine support plans, including the possible deployment of post-conflict stabilization forces. Africa and the Americas. In Kenya, amid an anti-corruption climate, activist Boniface Mwangi announced his presidential candidacy for 2027. Mwangi, a social justice campaigner, criticized President William Ruto and promised to dismantle elite privileges. Ruto, meanwhile, approved new electoral commission members for the upcoming vote. In the Americas, US debates on Mexican sanctions resurfaced in relation to immigration, while Brazil prepared diplomatic ground for its new reciprocity agreement with the US set to lift mutual restrictions. President Lula's decree will only take effect in 2026 after congressional approval. In summary, the week highlighted polarization in global conflicts, Ukraine, Gaza, growing Sino-Russian proximity, US-China trade tensions, and political moves in emerging nations, Kenya. 5. National politics, Brazil. Domestic politics revolved around Supreme Court trials, investigations, and legislative debates. Supreme Court, Core 1, trial. On the 2nd to the 3rd of September, the STF began hearing defendants in the 8th of January inquiry concerning the coup plot. The sessions focused on the defense. Lawyers for Jair Bolsonaro, ex-minister Braga Neto, and others presented arguments, while the prosecution labeled the 8/1 mobilization a criminal conspiracy. Bolsonaro, under house arrest, did not attend the first session and requested to be heard later. Opposition allies denounced the process as political persecution. INSS inquiry and investigations. The parliamentary inquiry into the INSS approved preventive detention requests for 21 suspects linked to fraud schemes, including businessman Mauricio Camasotti, tied to the Precisa Ser Especialista pyramid scheme. Meanwhile, federal police cracked down on illegal mining gangs in the Amazon and exposed a money laundering network run through luxury bakeries connected to the PCC crime organization in São Paulo. These cases reinforced the government's and judiciary's focus on white-collar crime and organized crime, under public pressure against corruption and violence. Reciprocity law and foreign relations. In Congress, debate centered on the reciprocity law with the US, enabling reciprocal visa charges. The government published a decree regulating the law, previously contested in the STF, but visa charges will only take effect in 2026 after legislative approval. This drew criticism from opposition figures, accusing the government of sluggishness, and from tourism stakeholders, concerned over reduced visitors. Threats to democracy and retaliation. Headlines also followed MP Eduardo Bolsonaro's trip to Washington, where he vowed to request U.S. authorities to apply the Magnitsky Act against Supreme Court Justice Alexandra de Moraes. Analysts saw this as political retaliation against Moraes, rapporteur in the 8/1 inquiry, and an escalation of confrontational diplomacy. Overall, the week highlighted intensifying institutional polarization. Bolsonaro supporters demand amnesty, while the judiciary advances prosecutions against extremism. Local highlights and trends. In Rio and São Paulo, crime stories dominated headlines, see sections 8 to 9. In Brasilia, pro-government rallies supported President Lula during the STF trial. Economically, inflation in August eased slightly, but fiscal pressure from social programs remained on the finance ministry's radar. Congress also discussed revising the Clean Record Law and new agency appointments for 2026. In short, Brazil faces institutional disputes, judicial crackdowns on corruption and crime contrast with political maneuvers from opposition and allies, while society demands accountability. 6. Entertainment. Cinema and pop culture news stood out. Cinema Week 28, 08, 03, 09, in Brazil, the National Cinema Campaign offering tickets at 10 Brazilian reals drew thousands to theaters. The event featured current films and re-releases, ranging from local productions to blockbusters, horror titles, A Horror do Mal, comic book films, Fantastic Four, old versions, Superman, 78, and even a re-release of Interstellar. According to organizers, FINICI, the initiative aimed to revitalize the market and democratize access. Expectations were to surpass millions of tickets sold, as in past editions. Internationally, Guillermo del Toro's upcoming film Frankenstein was confirmed for release on the 23rd of October in cinemas and the 7th of November on Netflix, a surprising move given its large-scale streaming investment. News and controversies. Dame Helen Mirren made headlines by publicly opposing a female James Bond in the future, sparking debate on gender in cinema. She argued that Bond must remain male, for tradition's sake. In music, the death of Sertanejo singer Yuri Ramirez, a well-known figure in Mato Grosso do Sul, shocked audiences after he was executed by criminals in Campo Grande. On TV and streaming, there were no major premieres this week, though regional festivals, such as Rio's Book Biennial, announced September attractions. Highlights. Trends. Streaming platforms remain highly active, with new releases announced, e.g., the next Witcher episode due in November. Internationally, nostalgic attractions are resurging. Animated remakes like Scarface and new seasons of classic series are gaining traction. Pop culture continues to converge with gaming, see Section 7. Overall, the week was marked by mass cinema promotion and debates on representation. Mirren, Bond, reflecting audiences' appetite for both accessible blockbusters and cultural discourse. 7. Video games. The games industry saw calendar shifts and media expansion. Global Market 2025, a Newzoo report, via Reuters, projected modest growth, 3.4%, in global games revenue for 2025, up to $189 billion United States dollars, slightly below expectations due to GTA Vi's postponement to 2026. Publishers reshuffled releases accordingly. EA moved forward its revamped Battlefield for Q4 2025 to capitalize on the new release window, with sales projected at 4 to 5 million by March 2026. Meanwhile, the Nintendo Switch 2, launched 2024, became the fastest-selling console in history, boosting hardware markets. Microsoft announced a handheld console, the Xbox Ally, set for late 2025, targeting mobile gaming markets. Analysts viewed 2025 as a rare opportunity for other titles, given GTA Vi's absence until 2026. Cross-media expansion. Paramount Pictures confirmed production of a live-action Call of Duty film, Activision Blizzard franchise, announced on 02/09. The project, involving Microsoft, owner of Activision, reflects the growing strategy of adapting hit games for cinema, following 2024's Minecraft film. Trends, controversies. Current debates center on AI in games, intelligent NPCs, and monetization, loot boxes, online services. No major scandals emerged this week, though the community monitored new esports announcements and VR innovations. In short, the week showed a market in transition. GTA Vi's delay reshaped calendars, console launches strengthened sales, and gaming continued converging with cinema and streaming. 8. Rio de Janeiro and metropolitan area. Recent developments combined police operations and social initiatives. Public security and crime. On 01/09, a joint operation by Rio and São Paulo police arrested suspects supplying weapons and drugs to Rio gangs, notably in the Serena community. The investigation began after the 2024 seizure of 4 rifles on the Dutra highway. Warrants were executed in several São Paulo cities, aiming to disrupt interstate trafficking. On 30/08, Rio police foiled an attempted cargo robbery, cigarettes worth 45,000 Brazilian reals, in Cordoval, North Zone. 2 suspects were arrested, one shot 20-year-old motorbike courier Cake, who confessed. These incidents underscored ongoing gang wars over contraband. Shocking violence. 2 high-profile cases caused public outrage. On 31/08, Civil Police Inspector Elba de Farias Fares, 50, was murdered in Angra dos Reis in front of his son after leaving church. CCTV footage captured the fatal shooting, sparking grief and pressure on authorities in tourist areas. Separately, prison officers arrested soldier José Ferrarini, wanted for shooting a delivery worker in Taquara, 29/08. He had prior convictions for domestic violence, 2016, reviving debates about violent histories among public agents. Social, sports initiatives. On 29/08, Rio marked Gamers' Day with the largest esports tournament in favelas. The Copa Afrigames, at Morro de Cantagalo gathered 500 youths. Organized by Afroreggae, it awarded programming and English courses to winners. This 3rd edition highlighted digital inclusion and gaming culture in deprived communities. Trends, controversies. Rio continues to grapple with urban violence. The week fueled polarization between demands for tougher policing, supported by some residents, and calls for accountability, as in the Angra case. The state government is exploring ways to better equip forces after child deaths linked to police gunfire reignited protests. Overall, Rio faced tense weeks, clashes and arrests on one hand, but social and educational initiatives on the other. 9. São Paulo and metropolitan area. São Paulo's headlines centered on police violence. Escudo, operation and injured motorbike courier. In Santos, coastal SP, body cameras recorded military police officers shooting a naked, unarmed motorbike courier inside a bathroom during Operation Escudo. Though the case occurred in August 2023, footage was only released now. The man was shot 6 times before jumping from a window to escape. Police alleged he was armed, no weapon was found. The case, now under judicial investigation, reignited criticism of police violence in São Paulo. Police violence context. The episode reflects broader concerns. In 2024, São Paulo police lethality hit record highs. Public pressure has grown for transparency and fewer fatal confrontations. At a state inquiry, PM representatives admitted most deaths involved suspects and advocated non-lethal tools where possible. After the Santos case, attention focused on whether body cameras, in place since 2020 in some battalions, will lead to accountability. Other developments. No major civic events occurred this week. The metropolitan region experienced unstable weather, cold records and quick showers, but no severe urban incidents. Culturally, anticipation grew for major October concerts, Depeche Mode, Rolling Stones. Politically, City Hall debated budget adjustments for transport and sanitation, though no major breakthroughs emerged. Sources: information compiled from G1, GE, ESPN, CNN, Brazil and International, BBC, Reuters, and SBT News, covering the period 27/08 to the 3rd of September 2025. Each section cites facts reported by these outlets. If a report was not covered by them, this was explicitly noted above.